Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Outstanding player, very athletic, can play the run, can play the pass, very dynamic, a guy that you have to game plan for, can stand up, can move around. You got to know where he's at all times and make sure he's not matched on backs, or you have to slide protect to him, but you can't block one-on-one. I mean, one of the outstanding players of our conference.
Yep. Well, Vic Beasley is on the mind of a lot of the football coaches and fellow players from the ACC here at ACC Kickoff 2014. That was Jimbo Fisher expressing his thoughts about the Tigers' defensive end, a player he'll see early in the season in Tallahassee, and what will be a critical game for both of the teams. Florida State picked to win the ACC championship again. Clemson picked to finish second in the Atlantic Division by the media here at ACC Media Days in Greensboro, and things are wrapping up. We just finished up with our last coach of the day. That was Dabo Swinney of Clemson. We've heard from all 14 coaches here today. We had 28 players here yesterday, so it's been a busy couple of days here in Greensboro, and we're going to bring it all to you tonight here on Sports Talk. Phil Kornbluth here, Kevin McCrary, and the Professor Tom Hayes back at the studios in Columbia. So, guys, the media here, and we weren't chastised here like Nick Saban chastised us at the SEC, reminding us how lousy we are at picking the ACC champion. Of course, over the years here in the ACC, it's been pretty simple. It's usually been Florida State, Clemson, occasionally Miami. Hard to get that wrong as much as they get it wrong in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, Florida State was always a choice, even if Florida State was bad. Those 7-8 win Florida State teams were usually the pick to win the conference by the media there. So that was not a big surprise, and it's warranted. Now, how do you not pick the defending national champions that bring back the reigning Heisman Trophy winner to win that conference? That's an easy pick.
Yeah, of course, Florida State was the team that escaped that hiccup they usually have. Usually it's at the hands of Clemson or NC State. Last year, I think it was Boston College that gave them a big scare, and they were able to leap over the hurdle. As far as Vic Beasley is concerned, the thing about it is, let's face it, the ACC is scared of Vic Beasley. And that's why they're talking about him, Corn.
They're scared.
They're scared of him.
Well, he was asked, a lot of different coaches were asked about him. They all have their ideas about how to defend him. I like Paul Johnson's answer. Paul Johnson's answer, coach at Georgia Tech, was he said basically a lot of times we don't even try to block him, and the hope is that he'll run his way right out of a play. And so they just kind of leave him alone, and because he's so fast and so quick off the snap, the thinking is that they'll go a different direction, or they'll fake him in some form or fashion and take him out of a play. Of course, they also realize that he is so fast and so athletic that he can run you down like a Clowney can. He can run you down from the backside if you try to run away from him. We have got a lot from here, obviously. We're going to hear a lot from the Clemson folks, Dabo Swinney. We will hear from Vic Beasley and Cole Stout, all that and more coming up here on Sports Talk. We'll be right back. Okay.
Get yourself a banner if you can. Everything else looks good.
Just did.
Excellent.
Maybe if I hit something, but
I like that one a lot better than the ACC or the SEC.
Do you?
Yeah, the SEC was it had like two initials on it. It was really dumb.
Oh, jeez. All right, 1, 2. Okay, let's see. Statement, I'm going to just email you the audio. How's that sound?
Cheap Pub Learfield, I'll take it.
Okay. I've got a one-on-one with Dabo, and I'm going to play. I got to clean up the stuff that he just said inside the interview room. It was pretty good, too.
I'll tell you what, can you give me a quick – we got 3 minutes here. Can you give me a rundown of everything you want to play here, if you can remember?
Yeah. Well, we're going to play. Let me get it all together. We're going to play Vic Beasley. We're going to play Vic Beasley. And we're going to play. I know who else we're going to play. We're going to play Cole Stout. We're going to play my one-on-one with Dabo. I also got Jameis Winston on him too. We'll send you that. All right. So I'm sending you 4 pieces right now. Okay. Sean McGarry. Oh, how many did you have? Yeah, we do, Sean. We'll get to him here early. Does K-Mac have any major news notes he wants to share? Oh, shoot, I haven't had a chance to get this. Have you checked to see if we have any spots tonight?
I'm about to go grab it now. I'm glad you reminded me.
Let's see, today was Spurrier up in New York today? No, Spurrier goes tomorrow. Mike K-Mac, the Spurrier goes tomorrow.
Stand by, guys.
All right. And we're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network tonight from Greensboro. We're here for the ACC football kickoff. And it's wrapped up now. We just finished up in our interview room. Dabo Swinney, the last coach in. So we've heard from all 14 different coaches. A lot of radio shows were here throughout the day. Many of them have departed now as they have gone off the air, but we'll carry on. For the next couple of hours, we're going to hear from Dabo. We're going to hear from Vic Beasley, Cole Stout, Jameis Winston as well. Going to bring all that to you tonight here on the program. Phone number 800-956-7266. Get your calls in a moment. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Website, of course, is sportstalksc.com. Almost everything from the coaches is up on the website. Of course, it got caught up getting ready for the show, so we still have about 3 coaches to put up on the website. We'll get those up for you in a little bit. And on Twitter, at SportsTalk SC, of course, is our address there. You can sign up to follow us there. And on Facebook, it is SportsTalk Radio Network. A couple quick notes, and we'll get to phone calls, and then we'll hear from Dabo Swinney. Had a chance to do a one-on-one with the Clemson coach. I have that for you coming up. Of course, on Friday night, the Tigers picked up another big commitment for their 2015 class in Austin Bryant, defensive end out of Thomasville, Georgia. DJ Jones from Wren in East Mississippi Junior College kind of surprised us all by committing to Florida State yesterday. Now, he still plans to take some other visits, so we'll see what happens. But right now, he is considering himself a commitment to Florida State. The poll here today by the media for the ACC season, and it is Florida State, the overwhelming choice to win the championship, with Clemson second in the voting for the championship, and Virginia Tech third. In the Atlantic Division, Florida State, Clemson, Louisville, Syracuse, NC State, Boston College, and Wake Forest. That's 1 through 7. I did go with Florida State, Clemson, and Louisville as my top 3. I think I went Syracuse 4. And you know what? I think this pretty much reflects my picks. I think I went NC State 5, then BC, then Wake. Now, the other division, the Coastal Division, you've got Miami pick number 1, followed by Duke, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Pitt, and Virginia. I actually went North Carolina number 1 in the Coastal, with Miami 2 and Duke 3, and then Virginia Tech. I think North Carolina is going to have a heck of a team, guys. I like the transformation to Williams at quarterback. He's the more athletic quarterback than Brent Renner was. I think he does a little bit more in Fedora's offense, gives him more options. Their backfield is loaded with Jordan and this freshman Elijah Hood coming in. This Hood kid, bench pressed over 600 pounds in their weight room not too long ago. He's a stud puppy. Plenty of starters returning. Terrific recruiting going on. Quinshaw Davis catching everything thrown his way. Am I making a convincing argument, as much as it pains me, for the Tar Heels?
You almost did, but I'll add to that by saying I think they have good and potentially strong lines of scrimmage, and that's why I think North Carolina is going to be dangerous. I think their offensive and defensive lines are underrated. But for one, the thing about North Carolina, even these teams that's been mediocre, they seem to grow defensive linemen. You can't see a North Carolina team, even through their struggles the last few years, that they did not have at least 2 dynamic people on the defensive line, and that's the case this year also.
Yeah, terrific defensive player in Norkeithius Otis returning to head up their defense. So I think they're going to be really, really good, but Miami is optimistic. Al Golden feels like they're going to be a much improved team, continuing to improve. They took a step forward last year. Now that they've got the NCAA shackles off of them, they're feeling more like a complete football program. So you do have to watch them. Virginia Tech will bounce back to become the hokey program that we've known all these years. Possibly. They go to a new quarterback now, and maybe that'll change things now that Logan Thomas is out of the picture there at quarterback. K-Mac, I know you were always a big Logan Thomas fan.
Yeah. I've always been really big on Logan Thomas. Just amazing talent that I never saw in all the games that I watched him play. But I heard a lot about the amazing talent of Logan Thomas. I just never saw the amazing talent of Logan Thomas in person. Maybe he was great every time that I didn't watch him play in person or on television for that matter. I've just never seen a great quarterback in Logan Thomas.
To steal a term from Dick Vitale, you show a 6'6" quarterback walking through the airport, and boy, I love him. Look at him. Looks good carrying his bag and in a suit. Jameis Winston, Florida State, the ACC preseason player of the year. And Vic Beasley finished second in that voting. Johnson, Jamison Crowder, and new Virginia Tech quarterback Brendan Motley also getting votes for that. That's the story from here on that. And K-Mac, you have anything else important you want to pass along?
Well, we have a news of the weird story to pass along. Did you hear about this one with Daquan Bowers and Ricky Sapp down in Myrtle Beach?
Locked in a conference room for about 8 hours.
Miss this. Daquan Bowers and Ricky Sapp were down in Myrtle Beach, getting a little beach trip in before training camp starts, and they invited a former member of Destiny's Child, Farrah Franklin, down to hang out with them. But apparently the night turned bad at some point when they went back to Bowers' place down there, and Franklin started slamming doors and acting belligerent, so Bowers and Sapp had to call the police on her. She was arrested.
They called the police on her.
They called the police on her. She was a member of Destiny's, one of your favorite bands. At Korn, every time he pulls up, if you've ever been next to him, you're probably hearing, Destiny's Child is usually.
Isn't that the one that Rihanna sings for?
No. No, it was Beyonce. Was in Destiny.
Beyonce.
Not Rihanna. No, it's Rihanna. But yeah, no, she was not in that group.
And of course, it's the guys have gotten the word now. Don't touch a woman. So you call the police. Now that doesn't seem like the macho thing to do, but that was the right thing for them to do.
Yeah. I did make the mistake of confusing them with TLC earlier today. They in my defense, TLC.
They're 10 years apart, came out.
Yeah, 10 years apart, but pretty much the same band. Am I right? Pretty much the same band.
No, not at all.
One saying Waterfalls, one saying I'm Survivor, or whatever. Say my name. But anyway,
and just to
scares me that you can actually name titles.
I had to Google them both today to fix myself. By the way, Daquan Bowers just tweeted that he's receiving text messages from people that he hasn't talked to in 10 years. He's famous now. Everybody's like, wow, this guy's hanging out with Destiny's Child.
Now, see, that's what gets people to know you when you get into trouble. By the way,
he didn't get into trouble. He didn't do it. No, he wasn't charged with anything. It was a girl.
And of course, some trouble at Georgia, Phil. It seems that exotic things happen to Georgia in the off season. This time, police investigating a burglary in an athletic dorm. Where one of the visiting recruits apparently journeyed into the women's one of the women's apartments in an athletic dorm and took a wallet with some credit cards and an iPhone.
If I'm not mistaken, is that not the same issue that got the Auburn quarterback in trouble at Georgia? Nick Marshall, wasn't he one of those guys who was arrested on a recruit's visit, and that led to him leaving, not being accepted at Georgia? Am I correct on that?
I'm not sure. I knew it was somebody. I'm not sure it was him, but you're right. It has happened once before. Apparently, police.
There's been many an SEC player that has been dismissed from the team for very similar.
Here's the problem with Georgia faces is the only reason the guy had access to the dorm is because he was staying with two players who are already on the team. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had access in that dorm.
Yeah. Hey, I'm doing a quick Google search here. K-Mac, did you know that there's video of Nick Marshall's marijuana arrest? Do you want to get that?
Yeah, we need to post that. And also, Texas A&M defensive lineman Gavin Stansberry has left the team today. And Victor Davis has been suspended, so a couple of Aggies that won't be in Columbia next month.
The Marshall, according to the AJC, when this happened, allegedly stole money, possibly from teammates.
Ooh.
So that apparently was his deal. All right, we'll be right back.
You know you're doing the right thing for the right reasons.
What was that?
Tell you what, you get on ESPN to do some research. I was trying to figure out the Marshall thing. Yeah, they've always got a video that's got to play.
Oh, yeah.
I always forget about that. Yeah, that's on purpose, internet people. Always ESPN that gets me with that. Always. You're just reading the article to get the info, and the next thing you know, bonk.
How balanced is this competition?
All right. Everything holding well on your end?
Yeah, it's great. Don't say anything more about it.
No, I'm not. I got to figure out where I left off in posting stories here. Got to be posting stories all over the place.
Let me know when you send those emails, Corn.
It's been sent.
Awesome. I'll grab it now. When do you want to start running it, anyways?
Dabo at the bottom of the hour.
Okay. It's that Johnny football rubbing off, huh?
I think I want to run some of this Dabo off of his notes. That's pretty good.
Thoughts when you first arrived at Blacksburg, heard of Blacksburg, Virginia, and now explain and talk about Blacksburg, Virginia.
Well, actually, my first question was my first one. But it's just been I have an unusual story.
this cough all freaking day.
You're nuts, man. All right, stand by, guys.
All right. Oh, good. Yep. I have to apologize, guys, to our Georgia fans in the audience because, you know, you can confuse with all the arrests they have. You get confused over who's arrested for what on what charge and when it happened. So I do apologize if I didn't exactly nail the Nick Marshall charges correctly at that time. So just want to, you know, just take responsibility for not getting it exactly right to our Georgia fans. But they have so many of them, it's hard to keep straight.
They are known for having a rough off season. But I was just again looking at this Texas A&M story. They've had 7 different players arrested since December. Eric Hyman can't be happy about that. And again, Gavin Stansberry, a starting defensive lineman, was tied with 3 sacks for the team lead last season, had 47 tackles. So that's a blow to their defensive line.
I don't think he's going to stand quietly for that. Let's hit the phones here quickly. Then we're going to hit up Dabo Sweeney after the bottom of the hour break. And we go to Greenville for our first call tonight. It is John. Hi, John, and welcome to Sports Talk. How you doing?
Doing fine, Phil. How you doing tonight?
We're doing great, thank you.
Tell a little bit about the commitment Clemson got on Friday night. According to what I've read in the paper, everybody in the country was recruiting the kid.
That is correct. He's a big-time defensive end.
About 49 schools were recruiting him.
Yeah, he had a lot of offers.
I hadn't heard much about him. I mean, was he? Is this a surprise to Clemson, or were they sort of fitting to get him?
If you hadn't heard anything about him, John, you're not paying attention. I mean, he's a big-time recruit, and you know, Clemson was all over him from the time the recruiting process started, and he came in for an early visit and really liked it, and followed up with another visit, came back for the cookout, and you know, went ahead and committed on Friday night. Austin Bryant, 6'5", 250, linebacker, defensive end, 70 tackles and 7 sacks last year. So, yeah, Clemson's been on him since last year, and they sort of nosed ahead or got themselves in really good shape with him back in April when he came in for a visit, and he eventually had Clemson on his list. South Carolina was on his list for a while before he narrowed it to 5. Florida State, Florida, Stanford, Notre Dame. Had a lot of big-time schools after him.
The big story there, I guess, Cohen, is the fact that when you go into Thomasville, Georgia, that's just like tiptoeing in the backyard of Florida State and taking a guy.
No question about it. It's only about 50 miles from Tallahassee.
They say it was a teammate of the choice kid that Clemson got, running back.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
But I know he must. I feel he must be a huge commitment. It moved Clemson back up to number 2 in the rankings and rival again.
Okay.
So it must have been huge.
He's a good player. He's a good player. In fact, you'll hear Dabo Sweeney talk about, in some degree, the 2015 recruiting class, because I asked him about the success they're having in piecing that class together. So you'll hear him talk about that coming up in a moment. You'll hear him talk about his offense, that, you know, he's not really losing a lot of sleep over the offense. I'm losing sleep over the Clemson offense. Some Tiger fans are. I think K-Mac is losing a little bit of sleep over it. Dabo Sweeney, Chad Morris, they're not losing sleep over the offense. Maybe it's because they have that defense like their pillow when they lay their head down at night. We'll hear from Dabo coming up in just a moment.
Sweet pillow metaphor there, Corn.
You like that, huh? Did I send you Dabo 101?
I just opened it up. I'm looking at my audio now.
I think I did.
It looks like I got Vic, Cole Stout, Dabo 1-on-1, and Winston.
Excellent.
See, I got 4 pieces.
You can scroll past my question if you want.
Okay.
Frank
Yes, Frank, why his team stinks now?
did not. Didn't have the chance to. I'm so hungry I could eat this computer.
Don't do it, man. Not without special sauce, anyways.
Had a great steak last night.
Where'd you go?
Place called Trips, right next to the hotel. Where I'm
1P or 2Ps?
2Ps.
Very nice.
We will continue to do the show from downtown, so your services are required.
Sweet.
The defense looks fabulous. The offense, I think, some question marks. In your head going into preseason, and maybe some of the fans are.
Well, I mean, I think there's obvious questions. I mean, I think there's obvious questions that.
I figured I'd just leave that alone.
I'm going to clean up this Dabo.
I mean, I think there's obvious questions that hopefully the performance will match that as they go through their college careers.
So here's what we'll do. We'll run Dabo, and then we'll run Cole. How long is Cole? He should fit in the next segment.
No, Mike?
Short segment.
Cole's 5 minutes.
What are some of the primary
but it's like, am I ready? And
stepping in as the Clemson quarterback?
Just kind of seeing like what we're going to expect from the offense. Just kind of seeing like what we're going to expect from the offense this year. Ready.
We'll do Dabo in the next out at 7:10. I'll run a little bit more Dabo, then we'll do Beasley, and then Winston's about 9 minutes. I think we should run all of that. That's pretty good.
You do a bunch of Cam Newton stuff?
Did he do a bunch of Cam Newton stuff?
As well, a couple of one tomorrow conference basketball schedule. We're going back to this. I'll be hit the road. I have another radio show.
Why am I not here?
Oh, Corn, I need you to mute yourself on Google, bud.
Hey, stand by.
I mean, I think there's obvious questions that on that.
And we're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Good to have you with us to begin another busy week of Sports Talk. We come to you from Greensboro as ACC kickoff is wrapping up. Also back in Columbia, Kevin McCrary, Professor Tom Hayes there. Those of you watching us on our video stream, sportstalksc.com, good to have you along with us as well. Had a chance today to catch up with Clemson coach Dabo Swinney. Tigers, of course, hoping to maybe go a little bit farther than they did last year, which, of course, was winning a BCS game. And they're going to have to fill in a lot of holes on the offensive side to do that. We all know that. And today I asked Dabo how concerned he possibly is about the offense.
I think there's obvious questions that on the outside looking in, but, I know that I like the personnel that we have, and I like the candidates that we have to fill those voids. Sharon Peete coming off of injury to hopefully fill that void from Sammy Watkins. Mike Williams emerging as a starter to take Martavis's place. He played 50% of the time last year. I love the guys that we have at the running back position, especially getting some guys healthy back there. And then Cole Stout, I mean, he's as prepared as you could possibly be, to become a first-time starter. I mean, the guy's been the backup for 3 years, same coach, same system. He's prepared every week to be the starter. And he's played very well when he's had his opportunities. So he has a confidence that a lot of times guys may not have because maybe they haven't had as much experience as he has. So I think all those things are very good positives. But now we got to go do it on a big stage early in the season. And then we got a guy named Deshaun Watson that arrived in January that I think is very well prepared for the next step in his journey as well. And then, as you mentioned, defensively, we can kind of hang our hat on those guys. We got a bunch of guys back. It's the most veterans I've had since I've been a head coach. I had 21 seniors this year on scholarship. Last year I had 10. The year before 11. So with the veteran player, there comes a sense of urgency that you don't always have, and I think that's going to transcend to good leadership and hopefully lead the way for us early.
When you add up the amount of yardage, rushing and passing, the number of touchdowns, and let's don't forget kicking, because you hung your hat on a kicker there for 3 years who was outstanding. There may not be anybody in the country who's lost as much offensive production as you have. Have you ever in your years as a coach been in this kind of position offensively?
Oh yeah. We shoot. I mean, after we won it in 2009 and won our division, played for the championship, and then in 2010 we lost Spiller, we lost Jacoby Ford, we lost Michael Palmer, we lost about everybody that we utilized that year in the offensive production that we had. So, but I think we're at a different place from a program standpoint because we've had 5 years and we've recruited, I think, well, and we've got good personnel. And that's what makes college football fun. I mean, about the time you get a guy really, really good, he's got to move on. It's not like he can't stay if he wants to. He's got to go. So it makes it fun because this time next year, y'all will be asking me about, man, you got this guy for 2 more years and this guy for 3 years, because new names emerge. And if you're recruiting well, and that's why recruiting is at such a premium in college football, because you got to replace great players every year.
You mentioned Deshaun Watson, hotshot quarterback, highly touted. Fans want to see him play, and you've got a fifth-year senior who really hasn't had a chance to play in crucial situations. He's going to get that chance. How patient – I know you said last week you got a package, you got a plan for Deshaun, but how patient are you with Cole moving forward to give him a chance maybe to work through some of the kinks instead of maybe pulling him real quick and putting Deshaun in there?
Oh, patient. It's all about performance. It doesn't matter, who you are. You've got to perform at a high level, and if you don't perform at a high level, then if the next guy is warranted that opportunity, then you give that guy. It doesn't matter if you're the left guard or whatever. There's a certain standard and expectation at every position, and quarterback's no different. Even Taj Boyd, he had a great sophomore and junior year, but had he come out and just played awful in the first 3 ball games or 2 ball games or whatever, then hey, you got to think about making a change. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what you did last year or last week. You have to perform at a high level, and when you're in a competitive situation, hopefully that brings out the best in everybody. But we don't have any type of a short leash or anything like that. The bottom line, the reality is, Cole has performed very well as a backup, and now he has to perform well as the starter. And it's not a lifetime contract. He's the guy. He's earned it, and it's his job to keep. And then on the other side, you got this young guy named Deshaun that's sitting back there. He's not saying, hey, I'm just going to just sit back and be number 2 and play next year. His goal is to try to go win the job. And when you have healthy competition like that, I think it makes everybody better. But Cole's not looking over his shoulder or anything like that. He's just got to go and compete and continue to show the coaches each and every day that, hey, I'm the guy.
We haven't had a chance to see Deshaun because he was hurt, didn't play in a spring game. From what you've seen of him in your scrimmages, does he at times make you just go, wow? Is he one of those types where you just go, wow, that's just so natural?
Yeah, there's no question. He's going to be a special player. He's been blessed with a lot of football ability, and the thing about him that a lot of times I go wow with is just his intelligence. He's so well prepared. He's been doing what we do since he was 14 years old. So, like Taj, for example, his first year as a starter, it was a tough transition for him with the mechanics of things that we do and the zone read and because he hadn't really done any of that. But for Deshaun, there was really no transition. That was just like making a layup. I mean, it was very easy. The biggest transition for him has just been terminology and those type of things. So I think he's not just a special talent, but he's a special person. And I just, if the good Lord keeps him healthy, I mean, it's just a matter of time before he emerges as, one of the top players in this conference.
A couple of off-the-field pieces of business. How is it looking with your incoming class? I know you've got some guys that are gray shirting and just one who is not going to qualify at this point.
Well, we're still not sure. We've got one that we're waiting on, but still not sure about his situation. He's taking a summer school class, and so we're kind of having to wait and see how that all plays out. It might go all the way down into camp. So nobody right now is not qualified. But he's the only one. Everybody has qualified with the exception of one guy that still got a chance, but he's still just working through that process.
Anybody from an injury standpoint going to miss the start of camp?
I don't think so. Other than the guys that were hurt in the spring, we had a couple guys that like Alex Good had to have knee surgery, and Taylor Watson had to have knee surgery. Those guys were out in the spring. Martin Aiken had to have a little bit of a meniscus scope, but he should be good by the time we start camp. But everybody else, I think we're in pretty good shape.
All right. And you had your cookout last weekend, and if you go by those who've gone public with commitments, and if you look at the national polls, you're as high as number 2 in the recruiting rankings. And, what does it mean to you to have people think about your recruiting class for 2015 with that kind of regard?
Well, that's great. All that stuff's fine, but we're not really worrying about that. We're just excited to get the guys that we want to get, and if other people think that they're great, fine. It's really not a factor with us. I wouldn't take anybody for Adam Humphries, man. And I remember when we signed him, nobody liked him for whatever reason. So it really does. When we signed Grady Jarrett, nobody liked Grady Jarrett. So we've been on both sides of that, and that's great if people like the ones that we're picking. And the ones that are picking us, but that's really it. Hopefully 4 years from now, 5 years from now, we'll look back and they will have proven to be the number 2 recruiting class in the country. Because again, right now all that stuff's just potential, and hopefully the performance will match that as they go through their college careers.
All right, there you go. That's Dabo Sweeney from earlier today. And again, he feels like Cole Stout can step in and do the job. Thinks he's got something very special in Deshaun Watson. Getting a healthy Sharon Peak back will help offset the loss of Sammy Watkins. So he's not losing a whole heck of a lot of sleep. And again, he can rely, no doubt, on a very good defense. Back in a moment.
All right, Stout here.
Just kind of seeing what we're going to expect from the offense this year, what's Just kind of seeing like what we're going to expect from the offense this year, or what's going to happen here and there. But it's like, am I ready?
What are some of the primary questions you're getting in your first go around here and stepping in as the Clemson quarterback?
I'm still going to play the your opening statement. Cool.
Just kind of seeing like what we're going to expect from the offense this year, or what's going to happen here and there. But
that's where we're starting.
Continue from the ACC Kickoff 2014 featuring the Clemson Tigers. Heard from Dabo Sweeney, who we talked to today. Yesterday, the players were here. I had a chance to talk with Tiger quarterback Cole Stout, and I asked him what was the primary question he was getting from the various media as he made his first appearance here at the kickoff.
Just kind of seeing like what we're going to expect from the offense this year, or what's going to happen here and there. But it's like, am I ready? And I'm ready. I've never been more prepared my entire life. I've been behind Todd for the past 3 years, learning, constantly taking mental reps, maximize my opportunities when they came. And it's been something that I've always been striving for. And now that it's here, it's time to go perform.
And there's probably nobody on the Clemson offense that knows the offense as well as you, maybe besides Coach Morris. I got to believe you know it inside and out, that you're thinking along the same lines he is.
Yeah, it's something great. That's past few years. The whole first year was kind of learning for me, understand the speed of the offense and everything. And once the second and third year came, it really turned into a whole kind of like a whole nother language that we had, that we would just talk and constantly build together. Along with all the other quarterbacks, we'd be in there and just constantly, we'd have one play and we could flip it all the way around and make it completely better just by constantly talking. It's been very helpful knowing that I've been with the same offensive coordinator for the past 3 years, and I got one more year with him, and it's gonna be a fun year.
Yeah, I don't know if this is factual or not, but I got to believe that Clemson may have lost more offensive production than any other team in the country when you add up quarterback, running back, wide receiver, even throw the kicker in there, because those guys were solid for all those years. So you can maybe understand why people are wondering, can Clemson keep up the offensive production it has in recent years?
Yeah, a lot of people say that our offense has lowered and the standard has lowered, but really hasn't. We got guys that have been in the same system for the past 4 years playing, like Sharon Peak. He's been playing a lot. He started his freshman year and all that. And Adam Humphries, he's still been in the same system. Sam Cooper's also been the same thing. And we got some younger guys like Mike Williams and Jordan Leggett that have been stepping up and really been a big factor of our offense, and just kind of having a lot of fun with it and just going out there and executing the offense best that we can. We're going to be a very exciting offense like we always are, and that's what we always strive to be, and it's going to be a fun year.
I went back and looked, and really in 2011 you came in when Taj got hurt against Boston College, and you finished up that game, but the game was pretty much out of hand. It was 23-7, I believe, at that point. Outside of that, it's just been really mop-up duty for you. So how does it feel to know you're going in, the game is in your hands from the very beginning? How does that feel to you after all this time?
I'm still going to prepare like I always do. I know the feeling's going to be a little bit different, but, I'm still going to have fun with it. I'm still going to prepare like it's anything else. I'm prepared like it's a normal game, and I'm going to go in there and just going to execute one play at a time, operate within the system, and just kind of go from there and have some fun.
Do you have one eye looking over at the sideline, knowing that there's the hot shot freshman and every school, when they have that hot shot freshman quarterback waiting in the wings, you know how the fans are. They want to see the guy get out there and do something. Do you have to kind of keep an eye on that as well?
Deshaun, he's a great player and everything, but I know that he's in the same situation I was when I came in with Taj. I still played my freshman year, and Deshaun, he's going to play a little bit his freshman year. But I've talked to Coach Morris, Coach Sweeney, and I'm the guy and everything. And when we go in, I'm gonna be the guy. I'm gonna be the starter and everything. And I know that Deshaun, he's gonna do great things out there. I know he's a great player. Everyone sees it in him. And, he's gonna make some plays, and it's gonna be great. I'm excited for him. I can't wait for this year to start.
Yeah. What have you worked on this summer?
Just constantly develop myself as a leader and a quarterback, making myself better and making others better around me. It's just something that I've always strived for, always wanted to do, and it's now that it's here, you got to go out and do it. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be really fun.
Do you have any idea what to expect when you go out between the hedges for that first offensive snap?
No, I don't. All I know is that my drone's going to be rushing. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for that day to come.
All right, I can't let you go without asking you about the so-called cock clock that everybody's talked about since, I guess, back in early spring practice, right. I guess, when the word first got out about that. So you guys are actually not looking past anybody, but thinking about South Carolina pretty much every week.
Yeah, it's just something that we see, and we don't have to keep being reminded by it. We just see it saying, okay, that game's coming. It's just picking at the back of our brain, just constantly reminding us. And it's just something that it's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing one game at a time, but we'll always have that little edge whenever we see that clock.
Do you think it will help you beat South Carolina?
It's not that it's going to help beat, but it's going to be something that's going to help us stay focused and ready.
All right, Cole Stout. And, Dabo Sweeney was asked about the clock today as well, fellas, and he didn't hide from it. He said they've always had a countdown clock to the next opponent, but this is something a little extra for South Carolina because they've lost 5 in a row, and by golly, he says they need to beat them. And, last year they lost 2 games, one to number 1 and one to number 4, and he realizes that stood in the way of them really achieving some great things. Be right back.
All right, well, I haven't heard from Morgan at all, so I guess we can just continue rolling. Send him a text, see if we can do 55. He never responded. Very well could be doing the Gwinnett game. Barring some rain, of course. Looks like this monstrosity is all over the place, though. Oh, it's been terrible. All day. The second I got up at 6:30 this morning. Hell, I think it started last night at about midnight before I went to bed. It hadn't stopped, sorry. Two. C.
Coming up on the top of the hour, we're going to hear from Vic Beasley, and then we're going to hear from the guy that Vic Beasley wants to hammer into the turf at Doak Campbell Stadium in September, Jameis Winston. Let's hit a few more phone calls before the top of the hour. Sean in Newberry, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
I feel how y'all doing tonight.
Man, we're doing great. How you doing?
I'm blessed. Here's my question for tonight, Phil. Where is Wando High School and where is Lamar High School?
Wando is in Mount Pleasant, down near Charleston, and Lamar is in Lamar, which is over there near Florence and Darlington.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you so much. Geography was always a strength of mine, K-Mac.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But you are good at the little small towns in South Carolina. We'll give you that. You know where everything is. You could immediately find cow pens on a map.
Huge metropolitan area.
Yeah, I mean, I know my little nooks and crannies of the state, but I do bow to your knowledge of the very small towns in South Carolina that have like 5 people living there.
There's only one true thing about finding a rural high school. Always when you go to a little town, make the left at the Hardee's.
Yeah, that's always, I always look for the lights. I just look for the football stadium lights, and you can find any school in South Carolina in a small town. Back to the phones, and it is Billy B. in Florence. Hi, Billy B. How's it going?
Hey, Corn. Hey, K-Mac. Guys, I was calling. I'll make this short and sweet. It's raining over here in Florence like everywhere else, it looks like on the radar, but the perception of Clemson football as we speak now is I just caught Kevin Carter, which was a phenomenal lineman at the University of the Florida Gators, which is in turmoil right now. But he had the Clemson Tigers 9-3, of course, losing the mighty Gamecocks, which I can see that until you beat them. I get that, the reigning national champs. And Georgia and Athens. I get that. That makes Clemson a very, maybe a top 20 team. Here's the deal. What makes Chad Morris just the offense dip from the time he's been there? He took I say a fool's gold in Taj Boyd, a redshirt sophomore, and made him into one of the most prolific passers in the nation. And you've got just loads of talent. No Sammy Watkins, but you've got loads of talent. And what makes Chad Morris's offense just dip, just totally dip? And the defense is going to be one of the best in the country. Absolutely. Stephon's a stud. Tony Stewart, they were the number one inside and outside linebacker in the country. Tony out of Florida. And, of course, Stephon holding his own, and I think they'll be Stephon will be All-American. I don't know about Tony by the time it's done, and Vic holds his own in the line. But the thing is how in the world can the offense just take basically a 180 here and become terrible? And I understand Sammy because I really believe Taj, no loss there.
All right, we got to jump in, and we'll address your question after the top of the hour break. It's a good one. We'll be right back.
Nope, he's the face. He's the first person everybody thinks of as soon as they think about the 5-Pete, and it's Taj. Right or wrong, it sucks, but that's the case. A lot of things I loved about Taj, especially the ball he threw and all the above, but at the same time, he did have those issues in big games. So I understand the question marks or potential hate. I mean, it's much easier to scheme for. That's the thing is, I mean, it's different when you're Duke, but when you're playing real defenses, they say, hey, there's one of the best players in America. We're not going to let him beat us, and then you got to go elsewhere. CC. Oh, is that would you clean that up from his full deal? Sweet. Man, I can't wait for some football. Ooh. I hate knowing that what's going to happen though. Okay. When you run, when do you want to run bonus Dabo? Okay. Good call.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, hour number 2, wrapping up our coverage here of ACC Kickoff 2014. So different from SEC Media Days. This is a much more confined area, much more laid back in terms of the attitude of the coaches and the media. A little golf involved here at the resort where we're at, and here in Greensboro, and just a different approach to things from the ACC compared to the SEC, which is fine. There's more than one way to do this, and this is how the ACC chooses to do it, and the SEC does their thing, now spread out over 4 days. The ACC does it over 2, and they just run the coaches in for about 12 minutes each into our particular room, and you get them rapid fire one after another, which is fine, and had a good time listening to what they had to say. Guys, going back to the caller at the top of the hour, talking about, if I understood him correctly, it was basically why should Clemson's offense drop off with what they have coming back, even though they lost so much. I mean, they did lose, if you break it down, I mean, percentage-wise, they lost an absolute ton. But this caller feels like they have enough, that Chad Morris and Dabo Swinney are going to have enough bullets in the holster to be able to be effective. They're not going to dry up and become a 17, 20 points per game offense. No, they still have that kind of talent. I just don't see them being in the 35 to 40 points per game type of offense. I see them being in the maybe mid to upper 20s, but relying more heavily on their defense to keep games lower scoring, where they don't have to score 35, 40 points to win.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to, conceivably, you'd think they have to take a dip. I mean, anytime you lose that much production, guys like us in the media are going to say they're going to take a dip. And they were one of the most prolific offenses in the country last year. A lot of those guys are in the NFL now. So logic would indicate that while they have some new guys in there that may very well be names in every household this time next year, they're going to have to go out there, and there'll be a little bit of a learning curve, especially when you have a first-year starter at quarterback and maybe a freshman taking significant snaps at quarterback.
Yeah, and I think if anything offsets the offense a little bit, maybe your defense, turns the football over more and you get more short fields where you don't have to drive 70 and 80 yards. Please, Clemson fans, Taj Boyd set all kind of records at Clemson. Here's a kid that could have gone to a lot of places in the country, could have gone out to Oregon. And Oregon doesn't recruit shot liver quarterbacks. And yet you get the feeling that if he would have broken through one time, just one time in the rivalry game, we would not be having all this kind of angst
Fool's
against Taj
gold
Boyd.
is what he called them. Fool's gold. That fool's gold is the all-time leading passer in Clemson history and one of the most prolific passers in ACC history. That's some nice fool's gold right there, Corn.
Absolutely. Vic Beasley coming up, some bonus Dabo Sweeney and Jameis Winston, too, plus recruiting coming up.
I believe that's Vic Beasley, by the way, Corn. You said Beasley. Yeah, it's Beasley. See. I'm not one of those internet site guys.
Let's think back to about this time last year going into the season. How surprised are you, if at all, that you were sitting here, a Clemson Tiger, going into 2014 and not suiting up for an NFL team?
I'm not that surprised. I mean,
Earlier,
I'm not that surprised. I'm not that surprised.
I'm trying to make these guys sound smart, 520, sir.
Out there on the field.
Some sweet elevator music you got behind you, Corn. All right, stand by. We're coming back.
We continue our coverage of ACC Kickoff 2014 here on Sports Talk. Things wrapping up. We might be about the last show still on the air here, unless there's somebody on the air around the corner from me that I can't see. So we're happy to bring up the rear here at ACC Kickoff 2014. Later this week, Steve Spurrier will have his golf outing Thursday, and he'll talk with the media then. Frank Martin talks with the media tomorrow from USC basketball, going to release the non-conference schedule. Boy, they're really trying to shove basketball down our throats when they're going to have a special day to release the non-conference schedule and then have a news conference to talk about it, guys.
Well, you know, they're instituting that was 8,000. I think they want to sell season tickets to fill that low. I think this is part of the campaign to just keep, you know, basketball at least somewhere in people's psyche for the duration.
And Frank Martin has really, I've noticed, Corn, every week to 2 weeks he's doing something with the media, whether he just stops by and chats after one of his camps, which he did for 2 consecutive weeks. He didn't have anything last week, but now something else here to release the non-conference schedule, promote this other event. And he said straight up last week he wants people talking about basketball in the summer in South Carolina, not just during the fall or not during the winter when they're playing, and then usually by middle of January nobody wants to talk about it anymore. So he's really doing everything he can to take every opportunity to talk basketball when he has a chance.
Well, I can understand him doing that. It's his job. He's trying to sell his program, but this ain't Kentucky, and people are not going to be talking basketball 12 months out of the year here unless he gets the program back to where it was briefly under Eddie Fogler and for a few years under Frank McGuire, where it becomes a national power. If he can do that, then, yeah, people will talk about it and people will look forward to it. But, in its current state, that's not going to happen. Now,
but we'll be there tomorrow. We'll be there tomorrow, so he'll get to talk to us, and then we'll play it on the show so people will hear about it, and basketball will be in the forefront.
I will say this. Part of what he's doing is not surprising. I remember when LSU just fell off the face of the earth, and then they hired this guy they call the Elmer Gantry of basketball, and Dale Brown, and he went absolutely nuts in selling basketball at LSU when they had nothing, and then suddenly he slowly but surely built a power down there. So I can understand the Pied Piper approach to trying to get people at least interested in basketball before you mix it up and finally have a team. You want some interest there as you develop this team.
Sure. All right, now back to football. And I had a chance to talk to Vic. What's his last name, K-Mac?
Beastly, not Beasley. Beastly. Yeah, Vic Beastly.
Vic, some call him Beastly. Those of us professionally call him Beasley. Now, I swear, to sit down and sit next to him, and you would never know that he was one of the great players in the country last year. He is not an overwhelmingly powerful-looking guy. He's thin. He's 230 pounds on about a 6'5" frame. And we talk about that in a moment, but, he's not like, I hate to bring it up, but he's not like Clowney. He doesn't just overwhelm you with his physical size.
Yeah.
Well, there's been some like that. He's not like Corey Crawford. Corey Crawford is a physical-looking, beastly-looking type of guy. Now, he makes up for it, of course, with his great speed and all his moves. So I had a chance to talk to him earlier. I think it was yesterday I had a chance to talk to him about, first of all, we talked about being back at Clemson this year compared to perhaps being in the NFL, an option that was very much open to him earlier this year.
I'm not that surprised. It was a tough decision for me to come back to school, but at the end of the day, that's what was really in my heart. I wanted to get my education, and that's what I was satisfied about.
I know at the end of the day, when you were going through the process there earlier this year, you went back and forth, and at one point it appeared as if you were going to leave, and then you come out with the announcement that you're coming back. What was it that finally drove that decision home to you?
A long talk with my parents and just really discussing the situation with them. They said, we're satisfied with whatever you're happy with. And I was like, deep down in my heart, I want to get my education and I want to lead his legacy at Clemson University, and that's what I chose to do.
If my memory serves me right, coming out of high school, you were also a really good tight end. Did you think you would play defensive end at this level in college, or when you came to Clemson, were you thinking more about the offensive side?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was about the offensive side. I never thought I would go from this position to that position and eventually end up defensive end. But I feel like through all the switching of the positions from tight end to linebacker to now end has really paid off for me.
What skills did you have as a tight end that have crossed over to help you become such an outstanding defensive end?
My route running skills and my speed. I feel like my speed combined with my route running skills has really allowed me to be an effective defensive end because I know how to get off the ball and I know how to really use my quickness to get past the opposing tackles and opposing offensive line.
Do you feel you had a phenomenal year last year, yet when it came to defensive end talk, it was all about Jadeveon Clowney? Do you feel like you were in his shadow last year?
No, I don't feel like I was in his shadow. I feel like we was of our own. I mean, he had his caliber and he was his own player, and I'm my own player. I feel like a lot of people compared us to, but he was himself and I was myself.
You glad he's gone?
Yeah, because they give me a chance. I'm the guy in South Carolina now.
I mean, really, you feel like you'll be the guy on defense in South Carolina to really shine and roll up the numbers, the sacks, the tackles, and all that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I got a lot of confidence in myself. Just knowing what I did last year, I know it's only going to get better.
What have you worked on this offseason to get better?
I actually worked on my coverage, my drops and coverage, and I feel like that's going to be beneficial at the next level because teams see me as a 3-4 outside linebacker. So I feel like that'll be beneficial to me being able to drop in coverage this year.
Have you put on any weight?
I'm actually 235, so I actually put on 5 pounds over the course of last year, this summer.
Do you believe there's an offensive tackle that can handle you?
Man, if anybody can, it's probably the guy from Florida State. But I don't even think he got the best of me last year. But, hey, I'm coming with a chip on my shoulder this year.
Thinking of Florida State, of course, you guys go down there third week of the season, and you got that Georgia game, first of all, to deal with. I got to believe that Georgia game is particularly important to you, being from Georgia, going back into Athens, and a chance to win 2 in a row over those guys.
Oh, yeah, I feel like what we did last year was a stepping stone for us, and it gave us a lot of momentum going into those next couple of weeks. And going down to Athens this year is going to be even harder because we're going to that stadium, and plus we beat them last year, so definitely they're going to be looking to knock us off.
What about the race in the Atlantic Division with Florida State? Do you think you have enough to go down there as a team and be able to knock them off and flip things around in that division?
I believe in my teammates. I know defensively we have what it takes. But after those first 2 games, I really know what we have. And going into that week, we're going to go into that game with a chip on our shoulder just because they beat us last year. And I feel like if we go down there and get that victory, that'll be momentum to go on and finish the rest of the year undefeated.
Are you concerned about the offense at all?
I am not concerned about the offense simply because I got guys like Mike Williams to depend on. I got guys like Sharon Peake to depend on. And then Cole Stout been waiting on this opportunity for a long time, so he's a senior quarterback. So he's going into this year with no regrets, and he's going to leave it all out there on the field.
How much double teaming did you eventually garner last year, and do you expect to see a lot of that this year now that everybody knows about you?
Yes, I received a lot last year, especially during the middle of the year. That's when it started picking up. But I feel like this year it's going to be hard to double team me. They're going to try to double team me, but then there's going to be other guys making plays. And when the other guys start making plays, they're going to leave me one-on-one, and then I'm going to start making plays. So it's going to be tough for the offenses this year.
Yeah, you got to like the look of your defense overall, across the board, all that talent returning, all that experience. Do you think you can have the best defense in the country?
Oh, no doubt. I believe in my defense, and I believe in our front seven, the whole secondary, everybody, the whole 11 out there on the field.
That's Vic Beastly. We'll be right back.
See, that went so hard.
Countdown clock for always the next opponent, and the coaches wanted to. Auburn did, Florida State did, and like Auburn did. Countdown clock for always the next.
All right. 220, bruh. You got it. Stand by.
Okay, we're back from the ACC Cook-Off. Little bonus Dabo Sweeney for you. I know, K-Mac, you asked him last week about the clocks, the countdown clocks over at the offices there at Clemson. Well, it came up today during his meeting with the media here in Greensboro, and I thought I'd let you hear his answer to that. And there was a follow-up question that I thought you'd like to hear the answer to as well. So here's Dabo, first of all, answering the question about the countdown clocks for the USC game.
Countdown clock for always the next opponent, and the coaches wanted to put one in for that particular game, and it's really just based on the fact that when you walk in our team room every day and you look at our team goals, we've hit every team goal on there in the past 5 years, with the exception of winning our state championship, and so it's obviously something we've got to. We want a high priority. We want to get it done, and but our philosophy is the same. Every week, whoever we're playing, that's the biggest opponent. And when the game's over, the season starts tomorrow. That's what we always talk about. But that's certainly something that has really been a painful part of our program for the last 5 years from an in-state standpoint, but also nationally. I mean, we finished 7th in the nation this year. They finished 4th. So that game is very important from a state pride standpoint, just like it always has been. But it's become very important for our bigger goals as well from a national standpoint. But really nothing more than that.
If there was a college playoff last year, would your team have won the national championship?
I don't know. I mean, we can talk about that all day long. I mean, if that would have been the case, I certainly think we could play with anybody. I said that last year. I felt like we were one of the teams going into the season last year, and I feel the same. I think there's 10, 12, 14 teams a year that really have a shot. I felt like we were one of those teams last year. I mean, we finished 7th, so it's not like we did bad, and we lost to 4 and we lost to 1. So we certainly we're capable of playing anybody at any time and winning. Ohio State was 24-1 when they came into our game and was a quarter away from playing for the national championship. So I don't think there's any doubt that we were capable of competing for it. We just didn't win the key games when we needed to warrant the opportunity, like Florida State did and like Auburn did.
All right. Well, I didn't have the heart to bring up to him, the Florida State game at Clemson. I mean, that would be a hard one to explain away when you say that you played with everybody. That'd be a hard one to explain away.
Yeah, I mean, they had turnovers in that one too, but I do not like the turnover excuse, and not just with Dabo Swinney, anybody, because you're not giving the other team credit. If you get those, if you create those turnovers, are not turnovers, or takeaways, and you got to give the other team credit. Florida State bull rush, Taj Boyd, stripped, scooped, scored. South Carolina, Clemson's down 7, they're driving, and Chaz Sutton goes in there and just literally strips the ball right out of Taj Boyd's hands, and takes it away. So, I think the better teams do that. They win the turnover battle.
You got it, man. It's been a hell of a day.
Jameis Kenny Beck with WXII Local NBC here. Few college athletes in history have had the kind of freshman season that you had and your team had. How hard is it not to be satisfied? And as a follow-up, has Kelvin Benjamin officially made you a Panthers fan?
Well, in your question, you said it all. But our team. And in your question, you offensive line in the country. Well, in your question, you said it all. But our team. And we had a very successful season because of our team.
Did you get all that, Corn?
Well, in your question, you said it all. But our team. And we had a very successful season because of our team.
Yeah, the guy asked him about his incredible freshman season, blah, 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 and he deflected it, saying, hey, it's about our team, blah, blah, blah. That stuff he learned from Cam. He doesn't believe it, by the way. There's be a quality dinner on tap for old Pope tonight. A quality dinner, I mean pizza, of course. Plenty of sleeves, a little sauce. Pizza, stand by.
Well, no doubt the biggest star of all the stars here the last 2 days at ACC kickoff, Jameis Winston, quarterback from Florida State, Heisman Trophy winner. We don't get a Heisman Trophy winner very often at these news conferences because usually they're older and they've moved on to the NFL after they've won the Heisman. It's happened before. Tim Tebow, of course, back at his day at Florida. But we had that luxury here this time with Jameis Winston. And yesterday he went before the media, and, you know, he appears to be a very humble guy, and he tried his best to deflect all the praise and share it with his teammates.
Well, in your question, you said it all with our team. And we had a very successful season because of our team. I was blessed to have our opportunity to play with Kelvin. And no, I'm still not a Panthers fan, but I am a Cam Newton and KB fan. And I'm an Eagles fan, to add to that. It's not hard at all. It's relatively easy because we always playing with a chip on our shoulder, and we have high expectations, and we know that if we become complacent or we become off at any way, that we will lose.
We'll stay on this side of the room.
Jameis, Jim Connors from Time Warner Cable News. This time last year, the ACC was still a conference looking for respect in football. With your national championship and Clemson's BCS win, how much pride do you take in what the league was able to accomplish with you being a major part of it?
I mean, how about that, man? Taking the ring from the SEC, huh? We are the national champions in this conference, and that's important to me because people do need to respect the ACC more. We had 11 teams with a winning record last year, and that's good. I mean, we have competition here. We got people getting drafted everywhere, you know, from this conference. And I believe that Florida State, we helped gain that respect, and hopefully we can continue that.
Left side.
Jameis, Bob Holliday from Raleigh. You had a phenomenal year leading your team to the national championship, winning the Heisman, all the ACC offensive honors, and yet, incredibly, you threw 2 picks in the ACC championship game. You know, and you now hold a share of that record. You normally excel at throwing the ball in tight windows. What was up with those 2 picks?
Well, Duke had a great game plan, and I'm glad I threw those 2 picks because it helped motivate me not to throw no pick in the national championship game. So Duke gave me a wake-up call, definitely. Great defense, and it was about putting points on the board, really. You know, quarterbacks are gonna have those games where they throw picks, and it's my job to bounce back from it. And I definitely wasn't scared to throw the ball because it was bombs over Baghdad.
We'll do 2 questions on this side.
Jameis, Dan Tortora, Broadcast Media. You always have that positive attitude. You talked about it's not hard to stay hungry. What can you say about this team moving forward with a few weapons that are gone, but still you under center?
Well, as a quarterback, it's my job to influence those guys to play on levels that they never expected themselves to play on, and that's what I look forward to doing. And as long as they buy in, because our new guys they're ready. Locked and loaded. They're so anxious, and they're working so hard this summer. And I believe we're going to have a ton of success this year just because of the mentality that we do have at Florida State and the way that we do things.
We'll stay right here.
Jameis, Alex Dodd, Dodd Sports Network, Greenville, South Carolina. Looking at your schedule, you come out the gate against Oklahoma State in sort of a shifty game in Dallas, neutral site. Talk about that game and just the odd circumstances of being in a third-party source.
Well, let me tell you something, dog. It ain't nothing odd about playing in Jerry World. I'll tell you that right now. And we're looking forward to being on that big stage and representing the ACC and hopefully get a victory over a great Oklahoma State team.
Left side in the back.
Jameis, Mark Larson from Time Warner Cable News in Syracuse. Another venue you get to play in this year is the Carrier Dome. What do you know about the Carrier Dome and your thoughts about playing up there?
Well, I know very little about the Carrier Dome other than Syracuse football team and basketball team playing in there. But I'm down for exciting fields, and anywhere we playing football, I'm with it. You know.
Behind the light tower on this side.
Jameis, Ken Spencer, WHAS in Louisville. You talked a little bit about the respect in the ACC. What do you think about the new team on the block, Louisville?
Louisville has had some great seasons, especially the past 2 years. BCS, well, not last year, but the previous year with being Florida in the Sugar Bowl, and any team to help improve the ACC, and any team that we can bring in to get people to watch us play is I'm all for it, because I look forward to playing Louisville on Thursday in the cold Kentucky environment. But it's going to be fun.
Right up here, Jameis.
Jameis, Phil Kornblut, South Carolina Radio Network. What you went through in the off season, did it change the way you look at people, the way you look at the media, and the way you look at law enforcement, the way all that was handled? Definitely not, because I fixed everything and I was cleared. And I gotta hold myself to a certain standard that the media may view me in, as the regular people may view me in. But I know that I can do that, because I've learned the true definition of being a leader, and being a leader on and off the field. As a leader for the Florida State Seminoles, I not only have to respect the name on the back of my jersey, but I have a great university that is looking for me to be a great student athlete. And more importantly, I have teammates that are counting on me. And accountability is something that's very important to me. And so, yes, I've learned that leadership is more important as playing the quarterback position than anything else.
We have two final questions, then we'll get PJ up here, right here on this side.
Jameis, Spencer Turkin, ESPN Radio here in the Triad. You rolled right into baseball season after football and workouts and whatnot. Have you taken a break at all, and are you ready for football and to focus solely on football?
Of course I'm ready for football, man. What kind of question is that, man? I'm always ready. I haven't taken a true break, but I have had a week off before I started training with the team, and that was useless because I still was doing things, But of course, I'm looking forward to this season, man, and get a chance to represent the ACC, the reigning national champions. We're trying to do it again.
Last question on this side for Jameis.
Jameis, we've had lots of conversations in here this morning about the quality of offensive lines in the ACC. Most feel like you played behind the best. You lost one or two guys, but you still got Cameron Irving and a lot of great people in front of you. How good are the guys playing ahead of you, and how much of a comfort do they give you as you do make some changes at the skill positions?
Well, our offensive line is the best offensive line in the country, and I repeat that Florida State's offensive line is the best offensive line in the country. But it's great, man. It's great being around those guys and seeing their different personalities from Cam and Host Sway, and a new addition with Austin Barron, but he actually played before all of them as a true freshman. And we got Bobby Hart at my right tackle and Trey at my right guard. So we recruited a couple big-time offensive linemen too. So one thing about Coach Trickett now, our offensive line never is going to be slacking. I'm going to tell you that right now, because they're the hardest working group that we got on our team. I know PJ my other teammates might disagree with that, but I be seeing it. Our offensive line works so hard, and that's why I'm confident to say that we have the best offensive line in the country.
Pro, your thoughts on what we just heard?
Another PR campaign. I mean, it's Jameis Winston always on the up and up. But at least you didn't get the juice of being called, look, dog. Let me ask you a question for you.
I like that, man. That's a term of endearment to be called dog. Or, he's a very confident, cocky individual. He deserves it. He earned it. Heisman Trophy, national championship, undefeated, hasn't lost a game as a quarterback K-Mac, and he is, let's face it, he's got incredible skills.
Yeah, he went out there and proved it on the field. You can't fake that. kind of performance he had all season long and leading the Noles to a national championship. But, he's figured out the whole media thing. I give him credit, though. He didn't have to show up there. He could have hid with his off-season issues, but he stands in front of the cameras and answers questions.
How in the world could you ever let your kid roll around with a Colin Kaepernick jersey? Ugh. Patrick Peterson. I should probably know this. Probably alternative, as in not one of the big ones. Marcus Ware. I never would have guessed that either. You mean an alternative lifestyle market? Is that what you meant? Absolutely. That dude must be in the LGBT community. Somebody throw something. Great reference. I was trying to think of a name, but I couldn't. You got some REC here, Corn? YCLE. I really love to be able to do some kind of scientific experiment where you could find how different somebody's career might be if they didn't go to a franchise like the Jags. That stuff actually matters, you know. Would David Carr not have sucked if he didn't go to the Houston Texans? Oh, yeah, that'll ruin you. I mean, who wouldn't? They've only been in the ACC for a couple of years. Remember, they were.
I was just finishing up some stuff here on our Virginia Tech preview on our website. Can't believe it. Frank Beamer has lost only 18 ACC games in their time in the ACC, which dates back to 2004.
Felt like all of them were last year.
Well, the last 2 years they've lost a combined 7. And that's why people are saying, is Virginia Tech going to return to form? And they just might. We'll see. But that's still a phenomenal record, 62-18 in his years in the ACC at Virginia Tech, 224-109 in 27 years overall at Virginia Tech for Frank Beamer. Let's get to recruiting now. First of all, of course, over the weekend, Friday night, defensive end Austin Bryant, Thomasville, Georgia, 6'5", 250, committed to Clemson at the All-In Cookout over Notre Dame, Florida, Florida State, and Stanford. And he's commitment 24 for the 2015 class. That includes right now 5 carryovers from the 2014 class. I'm including Jalen Oglesby among those carryovers. And he said that basically the parents liked everything, and he pretty much had made up his mind when he was at camp, and the cookout just kind of sealed it. And he had 70 tackles and 7 sacks last season. Defensive lineman D.J. Jones of East Mississippi J.C. and Wren High School committed to Florida State last night after wrapping up a weekend visit with the Seminoles. And he'd been favoring Tennessee since issuing a top 10 earlier in the summer. He'd also been strongly considering Clemson and USC. He graduates from the JC in December and can enroll in January. He still plans to take other visits, so this may not be over just yet. Receiver Travion Samuel of Phoenix City, Alabama, plans to be at USC's showcase camp on Saturday. He plays running back in high school, but he has terrific speed, and USC and others like him as a slot receiver. They see him along the lines of an Ace Sanders. He has a top 3 of USC, Auburn, and Florida State in no order from a list of 40 offers. He talked with USC's Grady Brown again on Sunday. Samuel said he likes the Gamecock program and the coaches and could see himself in their offense. Right now, he doesn't plan a decision until December, but he did say a commitment this weekend is possible. He'll be joined on the trip by a few teammates, including highly touted 2016 defensive back John Broussard. Offensive lineman Zach Bailey of Somerville did make it to Clemson for the All-In Cookout on Friday night. One of his coaches was going up there and contacted him about going up, so he did. He said he enjoyed it. Ended up winning the eating contest and hung out with the players. He said they danced on the dance floor, played a little cornhole, had to deal with the rain up there. Went back to Somerville afterwards, did not stay the night. He's down to Clemson, USC, Georgia. Plans to get to Georgia soon, though there's no date for that. He might visit USC again soon as well, though that has not been firmed up yet. And he's going to be looking at these schools up close on these visits to get a better feel for each of the schools. He said the Clemson visit did not affect his thinking about the school or the program one way or another. And he still does not have an order with his final 3. He says it pretty much goes back and forth every day. He'd like to make his decision before the season, but if he's not ready, he'll wait. Offensive lineman Brandon Sandifer, a USC target, Warner Robins, Georgia, plans to announce Saturday at 7 on Twitter. Before that, he plans to visit Florida on Friday, USC on Saturday. He was at Georgia Tech last week. He's also been to Alabama. Defensive back Micah Abernathy of Norcross, Georgia, has trimmed his list at Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Tennessee. USC also was an offer. Offensive lineman Matt Womack of Hernando, Mississippi, a USC target, committed to LSU Sunday night. Offensive lineman Jalen Merrick of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, tweeted today a decision may be coming soon, with USC, Florida, Florida State, and Miami the finalists. Wes Mitchell of the Big Spur reports USC will have running back Johnny Frazier of Princeton, North Carolina, on campus Saturday as part of the showcase camp. Frazier is a pretty highly regarded running back. 2016 athlete Corey Charles of Tallahassee made an unofficial visit to Clemson Friday. Defensive lineman Tim Settle of Virginia, a Clemson target, went to Penn State over the weekend. Defensive end Darian Roseborough of Lincoln in North Carolina, another Clemson target, did not make it up for the All-In Cookout, and he plans to announce on August 29th at 2:30. USC picked up a baseball commitment. Tell you about that in a moment.
K-Mac Corn wants to know how you like his layout for the ACC stuff. He said it looks good and he hates you. Everything's good. What's that? Just typical stuff. Why does everybody hate you, Corn? As you should. Is it your setup was all deranged today? I feel they've always treated you well in the past. Somebody did something. Do you have words of Swaff back in the day? Swaff done heard about you. By extension, we're getting the backside of it. Very well. Old Dabs. I'm gonna sleep like a small child tonight, I'm not gonna lie. Fetal status.
The baseball commitment USC picked up Sunday from right-handed pitcher, third baseman Joey Pollock from Canton, Missouri. He's ranked the number 26 prospect in the country by PerfectGame.com for the 2016 class. And John Whittle of the Big Spur, writing about him, says that he is a major talent for a infielder. I guess they're looking at him more as an infield possibility. Joey Pollock, Canton, Missouri. All right, there you go with recruiting for tonight. K-Mac, you've got something funny you want to share with us?
Well, Randy Edsel, who, of course, you didn't talk to today because he and the Maryland Terrapins are now in the Big Ten. And earlier this month, Edsel was on the record and said, quote, "I'm going to a football conference. I'm not in a basketball conference anymore." Of course, Edsel was 13-24 in 3 seasons in that basketball conference, 6-18 in the ACC. Anyway, Swinney was asked about that today, and I thought he had a pretty good response. He said, "We just beat Ohio State. Aren't they in that conference?"
Ta-da!
That was his response. He said the ACC is a league on the rise. It doesn't take a back seat to anybody. So Dabo is perfecting the counter punches. Very nice comeback there.
But
the
think
ACC needs somebody to stand up for it.
Yeah.
Dabo would be a fine one to do it because, you know, he takes exception to people who want to downplay the ACC and by connection his program.
Mm-hmm.
And it taken, of course, you don't want Bobby Petrino to do it, not just yet. I think it's going to be interesting.
Quit picking on Bobby Petrino.
Oh, I'm not picking on him. I think this is an interesting entry into the ACC. You know, teams that sneak into the ACC or they come in and people talk about it a little bit but not much, or talk about their basketball. Can't imagine what happens when he unleashes that passing attack on them once he gets the right players in there. Same as Virginia Tech had to take almost an action of their state legislature to get them into the ACC, and look what they've done since they've been in there. So you got to watch these teams to get in.
There's not going to. I want to talk quickly about a player at Louisville too. But Petrino's got a quarterback named Wes Gardner. He said he's 6'5", and you could just tell Petrino can't wait to
unleash
get his
him.
hands on him.
He always has a big quarterback, doesn't he?
Yeah.
One of the outstanding defensive players in the league this year will be Lorenzo Malden, defensive end from Louisville. And if you recognize that name, he's the kid committed to South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
2 days before signing day, they called him up and said, "We can't take you." And they put out the excuse that it was because of his grades and all that. Well, he went on to qualify. He's going to graduate in 3.5 years from Louisville, and he's going to the league after this year. And his background is, one of those really sad stories of a foster child from home to home. But this kid made it when people said he wouldn't make it, so I congratulate him on doing just that. That will do it for us from here at ACC Kickoff. Back in the studios tomorrow night with the guys. Look forward to seeing you then. Have a great night. And have a great night.
Do it now.